It was set up as one of the most exciting segments of the season on the Kelly Clarkson Show. Teddy Swims, the soulful singer with a fan base that spanned generations, was invited not just for a performance, but for an intimate conversation about his musical journey, his upbringing, and his struggles with self-worth and fame. The promotional teaser showed Kelly gushing about how powerful his voice was, calling it 1 in a billion. But what the audience didn't know was that behind the scenes, tension had been building since rehearsals. Teddy reportedly arrived late due to a travel delay, and a last-minute rewrite of the questions sheet had him annoyed. As he sat in the green room, sipping coffee and adjusting his rings, producers noticed his usually warm demeanor was clouded with visible irritation. When he finally stepped onto the stage and greeted Kelly, things seemed normal enough. He even cracked a joke about being just another bearded guy with feelings. But as the interview began, subtle cracks in the mood appeared. Kelly asked a question about his tattoos, trying to segue into a deeper topic about image versus identity. Teddy gave a short, vague answer. Then Kelly pressed further about how fame had changed his friendships, and that's when his tone shifted. Teddy looked at her with a half-smile, replying, "Why does everyone always assume fame changes people? Maybe it just reveals who they already were." The studio laughed nervously, unsure if it was a joke. Kelly, ever the pro, laughed too and tried to ease into the next question, but Teddy's guard was already up. She asked about a recent post he made on social media, one that hinted at mental exhaustion and losing trust in the industry. "I didn't post that for talk show fodder," he said, his voice steady but tight. Kelly paused. "I'm not trying to exploit it," she responded softly, "just thought people might relate, or honesty helps people." But Teddy didn't seem to accept the gesture. "I get that," he said, "but sometimes it feels like people want pain to be performative. Like if I don't cry on camera, it doesn't count." The audience was quiet now. Kelly blinked, clearly taken off guard. "No, I think being here is enough," she said. But Teddy wasn't letting it go. "Then maybe let's talk about the music and not my traumas," he added. The mood had clearly shifted, and even the camera crew hesitated on the next zoom-in shot. Kelly gave a faint smile, signaling to the director to pivot. Hoping to lighten. The moment Kelly switched gears, asking Teddy about his latest single, saying how it had become a heartbreak anthem for fans. But even that, meant to flatter, seemed to hit a nerve. "I didn't write that to be an anthem," Teddy said. "I wrote it because I was alone at 3 a.m. and didn't know who I was without someone." That song wasn't made to be quoted on TikTok. Kelly nodded slowly, trying to match his intensity. "But don't you think music reaching people like that is beautiful, even if it comes from pain?" Teddy's jaw tightened. "Sure," he said, "but when every interview is like, tell us about the saddest thing that ever happened to you and then sing about it, it makes me feel like I'm just a trauma jukebox." That was when the audience reacted audibly. Kelly shifted in her seat and replied, "I'm sorry it feels that way, but people love you because you're real." Teddy's voice dropped. "Then let me be real. And not just on brand for daytime." The silence in the room was deafening. Kelly exhaled slowly. "Do you want to keep going?" she asked, her voice now soft but serious. Teddy hesitated, then said, "Depends on whether we're here for conversation or a soundbite." The producers in the booth were panicking. The segment had gone completely off script, and the energy wasn't typical daytime fodder anymore. Kelly, seasoned and experienced, leaned into authenticity, saying, "Look, I've been on both sides of this. I know what it's like to feel picked apart and pieced back together on camera." Teddy looked down, adjusting his mic clip. "That's the thing," he murmured. "You get it. You've lived it. But this world only wants the story if it ends with applause." Kelly reached over gently. "You don't owe us anything." But instead of grounding him, the words triggered something. Teddy stood up slowly. "Then maybe I'll go before I end up saying something I regret." The room gasped quietly. Kelly looked stunned, but didn't move to stop him. He took a few steps, then paused. "I respect you, Kelly. I really do. But I'm not a segment. I'm a person." He exited stage left, the cameras awkwardly cutting to a commercial bumper. Everyone in the room was stunned audience, crew, and Kelly herself. The episode wouldn't air live. That much was immediately cleared ** after Teddy left the set. Kelly sat quietly for a few minutes while the crew adjusted the schedule. They replaced his final segment with an impromptu cooking demonstration, but the entire studio was still processing. What had just happened? Kelly, ever professional, addressed the audience before they resumed filming. "Sometimes, real moments happen," she said, "and we don't always get to tie them up with a bow." That statement earned quiet applause. Meanwhile, Teddy was seen exiting the studio lot in a black SUV. He didn't speak to paparazzi, but posted a cryptic Instagram story an hour later that read, "Sometimes strength is knowing when to walk away, not when to stay and perform." Fans flooded his comments with mixed reactions. Some praised him for standing up for his boundaries. Others felt disappointed, saying he had disrespected Kelly, who has always been known for kindness. Talk shows across networks picked up the clip, dissecting it from every angle. Was it a meltdown or a stand for authenticity? The internet, as usual, had no consensus, just millions of views. The next morning, the story had already gone viral. Headlines across entertainment sites and social media pages. Screamed variations of Teddy swims, storms off the Kelly Clarkson Show, and singer walks out after tense exchange with Kelly. Hashtags like hashtag Teddy swims, hashtag Kelly Clash, and hashtag not just as EGMN trended across Twitter and TikTok. Fans posted screenshots of the moment Teddy stood up. Others clipped his line, "I'm not a segment. I'm a person," over moody music and slow motion. Analysts and culture critics weighed in across platforms. Some accused Teddy of being overly sensitive, while others said he had finally shattered the polished illusion of daytime television. Kelly Clarkson's team released a calm, respectful statement. Within hours, Kelly has always believed in safe spaces for honest conversation. "We wish Teddy nothing but peace and success." But it wasn't just another media moment it triggered. A much larger dialogue online about how the entertainment industry minds vulnerability, especially in interviews. Think pieces followed. The commodification of sadness in celebrity culture, and when honesty becomes a headline. Even celebrities like Pink Hosier and Demi Lovato chimed in online. Some defending Teddy's need to walk away, others offering neutral support to both sides. As fans debated, the original clip had already crossed over 15 million views by noon. Meanwhile, internally, producers at The Kelly Clarkson Show were reeling. They had dealt with awkward interviews before, some tearful, some tense but never. Had a guest outright walked out in the middle of a taping. Others admitted that perhaps the interview sheet had gone too deep too quickly, without enough warm-up. According to backstage sources, one producer tried to get Teddy to stay just minutes before he walked, but he reportedly said, "This feels like a trap. I sing because I have to, not because it's profitable pain." That quote would later be echoed across fan pages and merch shirts, posters, even phone wallpapers. Kelly remained graceful. She recorded a short behind-the-scenes video on her own Instagram, saying, "We all have our thresholds. I've hit mine on camera too. Let's give each other grace, y'all." The comment section was flooded with heart emojis in support, but some followed days later. A podcast appearance featuring Teddy recorded before The Clash was released, and his words suddenly felt layered with new meaning. In the episode, he talked about being misunderstood, about having to be soft and accessible to be marketable, and how frustrating it felt when his trauma was more valued than his talent. These soundbites, once casual, now struck a chord with thousands who felt he had simply reached his breaking point on Kelly's couch. The podcast rose to #1 in several countries. In response, Kelly's next few shows took on a noticeably lighter tone, more games, musical guests, and zero serious topics. Some critics accused the show of retreating into fluff, while loyal viewers defended it as a return to comfort. Meanwhile, Teddy announced that a new single would drop the following week titled "Exit Wounds," which many assumed was inspired by the experience. In a surprise move, the song's lyrics referenced a stage, a chair, and a question with a hidden hook. Fans immediately connected the dots. The track debuted at #3 on streaming platforms, fueled by speculation and TikTok clips from the show. What had started as an